here. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite menacing reviewer's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the combined form of Transformission's Menasor. I forget what it's called. That's 2 times in a row. Spoilers for the Dead End review. But there they all are in robot mode, and they look great together. Like, they really do. Like, it's a really impressive looking team all together, and like the aesthetics all match, you know, for the style that they chose, and they really did do a nice job here. Good looking set. And there they all are in alt mode, and that looks really, really good. My only complaint, and it's not a valid one because that car should be longer, is the drag strip is significantly bigger than the rest of the cars, but he should be, so I get it, but in my 6-year-old brain, I like them all to be the same size. All right, and here we are.
Sup, nerds?
And now we have Adam Russman in the house as well. This always happens on Combiner days. So here we have this bit of business. I'm going to show you how to connect the arms to one another and then how to connect them to the bot, and then we'll do the legs last, okay? Here we go. All right, for dead end, we're looking at these 2 tabs there, basically, and they're sliding into this. So let's just give her a go. All right, relatively painless. And then for drag strip, we're gonna plug in one of these and then plug in the other. So we'll start with this one, and then we're gonna bring that one down, and that is that. And then it also comes with this filler piece. But now you're really going to need this piece because otherwise this arm will continue to fall apart on you. So put this in there, and it's not the easiest to get, but once that's on, that will secure that connection. Otherwise it comes apart the first chance it gets. The cars slip on utilizing for this one these 2 grooves here, and then these 2 kind of line up with that, and then this clips onto this. And I will try to illustrate that the best I can. There. Woo! That's solid. And then the other one is done the exact same way. These grooves go inside of this one, though, and then 2 things here and the clip. It's hard to get this one on and keep the structural integrity. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that one. I'll have to get it off camera. And look, real quick, you can add the other part of the trailer in as a backpack. It's a pain. You kind of have to fit this stuff around. Let me just see if I can show it to you. No, I'm not going to. Sorry. But if you just get it all lined up, there's 2 pegs that it pegs into, and then just curl this stuff up down here at the bottom. These flaps here sit on the other side of this, and then these are, the end part of this is curled around in on itself as well. Let me show you how to build this gun. You want to put this piece in first. That slides down in there. And then you want to put this piece in. This piece in the bottom, and then this plugs into the front, and that's pretty cool. This thing has got some pretty legit issues, unfortunately. We're going to talk about the articulation and stuff first, though. So for the head, hinge swivel, which is my preference. You get all the way up to there, down a good bit, and the swivel, all the detailings and stuff, the silver on the face. The eyes, is that light piping? No, but why is it so dead?
It lights up.
Oh, it lights up?
LED.
Oh, okay, it lights up, so that gets a pass. The rest of the detailing and stuff look fine. We kind of talked about this and with Motormaster, so that looks good. The arms, ratcheted universals, those joints feel great. And then you get out, but you don't get much. At least it seems to me. You get to about there. Not the best. For the other side, same situation. You're once again pretty much limited to the swivel. Bicep swivel right above the elbow. The elbow itself is ratcheted and gets you 90 degrees, maybe a little bit more. Wrist swivel. I like the way that the arms look very clean. Wrist swivel. Fingers are all on base ball pegs and then individual hinges at the second and third knuckle for full articulation. No real issue there. Thumb, ball peg, hinge, hinge. So that works fine as well. All right, moving right along. Waist swivel. There we go. No issues there. Articulation's the same. There's no sense in going through the arm because that's just a parts former piece, so that works the same way. And we've already shown you the shoulder. Now where this thing starts to unfortunately fall apart is the hips. So once again, the space between ratchets become a pain in the balls. But that came undone. Or is that just not locked in? Yeah, there we go. So let's see if we can move this out of the way. You can get to there. So that's a pretty good range. And then forward to about there. The knee allows for 90 degrees on a ratchet. That works well. And then the feet are a huge issue. This guy has a tendency to want to lean forward, and that's because of the space between here and here. I flipped this piece down. It added a little bit more stability, but not much. Would you agree? Right. And then you get the ankle tilt. It's already been tilted down once. You get it up once. And then the rocker's on a ratchet, and that works fine. And then there's a bit of a toe hinge, or no? I don't know. Not really. A little bit of a toe hinge down, but it makes the transformation come undone, so it doesn't really count. And then they also swivel, which is not the best either. So, just unfortunately, has some pretty significant issues, and ultimately is kind of a step back in that regard because their Devastator didn't have those issues. He was a lot better built in terms of the final combine mode. He cleans up like a champ, though. Like, he looks beautiful from pretty much every angle. Like, that is something they definitely nailed. Now, one thing I want to say before we move on is that it does come with replacement pieces for where these cars plug into. Now, Joe is going to take it upon himself to install one and see if it makes a difference. But this is the area that needs fixing. Now, that's the proper setup. And then we move this down here, which gets you a little bit more stability. Not much, but the slightest bit. Now, this is the replacement piece that they've given you. And this goes in here. But, well, I have noticed something different about this. Oh, no, it's like that, right? As far as we can tell, just sitting them next to each other, they seem to be exactly the same size. So we don't see how it's going to create any better stability, but we're going to give it a shot because we're not sure that anybody else has done it. Okay, so we added the piece, and it was also fairly educating for us. Actually, for Joe, who just relayed the information to me.
I know that's Robert Boneface toiling away.
And then I'm going to act like it was educating for me as well. So this is the new piece. As you can see, the paint is gone and stuff. This piece slides, so that allows for the transformation still. That's new. And then this piece is probably supposed to give more stability to this thin piece of plastic which everything kind of sits on. And not only does it sit on it, but as you can see, it doesn't sit, in the center of gravity. So this is the original piece, and we swap both on both legs. So you lose all this painted detail and stuff, which is a bummer. Unfortunately, it does nothing for the sense of stability. Now, it seems a little better right now, but that's because I have the knee partially bent. I have found that if you bend one knee slightly, it will help greatly. But we're going to straighten it. As you can see, that's now straight. And then we're going to connect this. He also clipped a little piece here because it didn't fit in perfectly into here. And he felt comfortable doing that to his toy, so more power to him. And I'm not going to push that any further, but there they are. And there he leans like Smooth Criminal. It's just... So we did this after we did the final thoughts and everything, and I'm super happy that... Well, no, let me rephrase it. Oh, that's the piece that fell off.
Oh, okay.
Not that I'm happy it still doesn't work, but I'm happy I didn't have to redo my final thoughts. Like, I'm happy that nothing that happened here changed the way I feel about it, and I had to reshoot my final thoughts. Because this is just stupid. Now, like I said, bend one knee, much better. But just know that, you know, then the trouble comes into making him not look a little sassy pants. But it does work. You just have to bend the knee. Like Jon Snow. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean.
So I explained it in the Dead End review, but not in this one. This is Joe KW's set. Mine are in the robot mode with the exception of Dead End. I'm getting Dead End from Manolo, and he just hasn't got it in stock yet. So Manolo's contact information will be in the description. But when Joe got home, he messed with it a bit more, and I wanted to show you this. He got it to stand pretty solid with a wide A stance and the sword holstered in the back. There is a place in the backpack for the sword to be holstered, and it adds a little bit of extra weight and pull, which kind of brings him back towards center. So that is a nice thing, but you shouldn't technically need it in order to make it work. And then real quick, you're about to see that I ended up breaking a piece, but it was already pre-stressed, and he was sent with a replacement piece so that he could replace it if it ever failed. So it wasn't Bobby Big Hand's fault this time.
Now, what is significant about this guy, whether everybody has realized it or not, but between Transformation, Generation Toy, Warbitron, MMC, Unique Toys, you can have a whole set of kind of proper G1 combiners in the same scale that is argumentatively masterpiece scale, you know, depending on how you look at it. So that is significant. Like, you know, depending on how you see scale, and there's nothing wrong with seeing these guys fit into your masterpiece collection, that is an entire G1 Decepticon combiner team. It's pretty nuts. Like, it's pretty nuts just that we have that. It's something to be said for that, I think. I'm not sure if enough credit has been given to that. Just that third party has allowed this to be a thing. Final thoughts wise, Yikers Island. Not the best. Let me see that piece, that broken piece. So, a hip flap broke while manipulating it. Oh, there it is. And Joe said they sent him a replacement for it because it was already severely stressed. So it's actually not my fault, totally. A little bit my fault, just a little bit. Let's talk about the negatives. It doesn't really work. It doesn't really work at all. It falls apart in the feet. The problems that I'm having is that it wants to lean forward. It sent a replacement, well, not a replacement, but that upgrade piece for the elbow, which does fix the elbow issue. That's fixed. You're good to go there. But they should have thought about the same thing in regard to the feet, and they should have fixed that. As a result, it isn't really effective. It doesn't really work. You end up needing to lean him back either on his knees, so to speak, or his ankles in order to get it to work, which you shouldn't have to at a price point that they're asking for this. I think I'm out on combiners that don't use parts forming pieces for the hips. I'm out. I wanted to get their Defensor. I just can't. Not on good faith. Using this sort of system in order to make a combiner stable is just such a dice roll when you're dealing with heavy bots like these third-party companies make. It's the gift and the curse. Because you don't want something light like Hasbro's Devastator figures, which feel like they could just float away from you at any given point. But when you use the heavier pieces and you do combine them, it isn't as effective unless you have something to really secure this area and this area. And without those two things, you're just setting yourself up for failure. There's limited articulation in the shoulders, there's limited articulation in the feet, and then possibly the feet have at the same time the wrong type of articulation, which allow it to be a bit floppier. The hips don't hold together as strongly at these connection points as you would like, so you have to constantly kind of fix that. There's just too many issues here. On the plus side, posed like this, it does look great. And I have to use the sword to keep him balanced because otherwise he wants to wobble forward, which I will show you here in a minute. But the other plus side is that the vehicles look tremendous. However, like Joe and I were saying before we started this review, it's an awfully pricey commitment for some oversized Matchbox cars. That's not to say that the value is the same. It's just to say if you want a set of cars, you could probably mimic the set of cars for this set for a lot cheaper price point if you start looking in the model area. The robots do look great together as well. And this guy looks great when you have him posed and situated. The issue is you shouldn't have to, it's the same exact issue. I mean, it was done differently, but it ends up yielding the same set of issues that Poseidon yielded. And that's mainly just due to this style. And in order to pull this style off, oh, now that he's lost his cane, we can see him lean. That's where he wants to go. That's where he wants to go. So it's the same set of issues that we've seen in the past. There's very few combiners that use this sort of technology and then end up working. And I think I could probably name them easily on one hand. TFC's Defensor worked pretty well. Warbitron Bruticus worked pretty well. Feral Rex worked pretty well. Generation Toy Devastator worked pretty well. And that's it. So it's actually more surprising when it does work than when it doesn't. So at the end of the day, and as heartbreaking as it is for me to say, I've been following this particular line very closely. The Stunticons are my favorite and I'm 100% committed to them. At the end of the day, unfortunately, I cannot recommend this set in good conscience. Or good conscience, which is like a good conscience, except it doesn't mean anything remotely the same. I've been screwing up my words all day. Don't worry about that for now though.
Would you recommend them individually as spots or masterpiece scale?
See, well, here's the thing about that. I would recommend them individually for bots for just something, or for like a masterpiece IDW. But it's so far out of the, stylistically from the G1 masterpiece line that it's gonna look out of place.
Right. It will only go with the other generation toy stuff like the Prime and the Jazz.
Exactly. Like the Warbitron kind of works still.
Because the Jazz costs the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and
it would just take away the combiner part.
Yeah, so if you were doing like a masterpiece, like the IDW stuff, it's definitely going the masterpiece route with Generation or G Creations, and who else is doing that? Generation Toy, and is there somebody else? Kind of SXS in a weird way. If you were doing it that way, it would work, but just individually, because the combine mode just doesn't do anything. You can pose him and make him look pretty, but that's about it, like David Hasselhoff. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, till next time, take care.